Today's Jeopardy categories: terms, which are vocabulary words, velocity, acceleration, freefall, and projectiles. Mostly freefall is one-dimensional, projectiles is two-dimensional, yes? Point values are 1 through 5. In my opinion, they get harder as they go down, just like in real Jeopardy. Remember that some of the questions have follow-up daily doubles. You'll hear that sound, and then you will get a chance to earn extra points. Yes, I make that sound. It would be cool if I could make the board make sound, but I cannot do that. All right, to get us started, pick a number between 1 and 10. Wait. Pick. Team 3, you're in control. You can pick a category and a point value and get us started with Jeopardy. Please keep in mind, these people are answering first. The rest of you are just listening. Yes, you may communicate with your team as far as that goes.
How do we buzz something?
Raise your hand. I'm sorry, I don't have a buzzer. That would be cool, but I haven't gotten quite that. It's in my future. I just haven't gotten it.
I can't help but looking at the camera.
No, those buzzers were a source of
Freefall for 2 points.
All right. Freefall for 2 points. Ignoring air resistance when dropped from 3 meters high. Which hits the ground first, a baseball or a bowling ball? Lily?
They hit at the same time.
That is correct for 2 points.
Good job, Leon.
Acceleration for 2 points. This is a toss-up to you three only. Raise your hand if you think you know the answer. What is the acceleration of a ball bearing rolling horizontally across the table? Emily?
Is it constant?
Constantly what?
Oh, accelerating? Constant? I don't know.
I feel like you don't know the answer. I'm sorry. Elizabeth?
It's the same as
Abby?
There's no acceleration.
0 is correct. Just to be clear, acceleration is constant always. All right, vocabulary terms for 2 points. For 2 points, any magnitude in a given direction is called this. Addie.
A force?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's incorrect.
You know it.
Claire says a vector. A vector is absolutely correct for 2 points. Good job. Terms for 3 points. The vector of speed is called this.
Velocity.
Chelsea. Velocity is correct. Hold on, Mag, hold on a sec. Maggie, hold on a second.
Oh, was that?
You earned 3 points. That is correct. Velocity is the vector of speed. Generally, the term speed would fall into a category that is not a vector. That is called a scalar for an additional point. Great job. All right, listen carefully. Raise your hand if you think you know the answer for 3 points. As a soccer ball rolls down a hill, what direction is its acceleration? Anna?
Would it be down the incline?
Down the hill is correct for 3 points. Very good. Free fall for 3 points. Raise your hand if you think you know the answer. Ignoring air resistance when dropped from an extremely high height. Which has a higher acceleration, an elephant or a penny? Caroline.
They have the same.
They have the same. That is correct. Terms for 4.
Come on, Charlotte.
Raise your hand if you think you know the answer. This term describes the rate change in velocity. Lily.
Acceleration?
That is correct.
I knew that!
Projectiles for 2 points. One football is kicked at an angle from the ground into the air. Another is taken 3,000 feet into the air and dropped out of a plane while it moves forward at 300 meters per second. Read it one more time. A football is kicked on an angle from the ground into the air. Another is taken 3,000 feet into the air and dropped from a plane moving horizontally at 300 meters per second. Which football experiences a greater acceleration once launched? Elizabeth.
The airplane one.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Sally.
There were only 2.
The ground one?
Wrong.
They both have the same?
They both have the same.
It's okay, Sally.
Velocity for 3 points. 1, 2, 3. A marble is initially moving across a horizontal table at 2 meters per second. What will be its velocity 3 meters across the table? Hello.
2 meters per second.
That is correct. Darcy, sorry.
Were you going to say that?
Darcy. Very good. All right, for 5 points. 5 points. Big one. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Raise your hand if you think you know the answer. A baseball is held to a height of 8 meters. Dropped next to, nearby, a golf ball dropped from a height of 3 meters. Dropped at the same time. Which one hits the ground first? Amelie. The golf ball. Correct. That was worth 5 points. For 2 more points. Why does the golf ball hit first? 2 reasons.
One, because it's closer to the ground and they both have the same velocity, so same acceleration, so it would.
That's correct. Yeah! Drop from different heights with the same acceleration. Very good. Terms for 5 points. The vector of distance measured as distance in a direction from a starting point.
Displacement.
Displacement is correct for 5 points. Velocity for 2 points. What are the SI units of velocity? Caroline.
Meters per second.
That is correct.
Yeah!
Acceleration for 1. This is an explanation. Question. Why is acceleration a vector? Really?
It's a vector because acceleration goes down or any way you want it to. Because it's changing velocity and velocity is a vector.
That is correct.
Yay! I'm sorry guys, I'm about to go off very wrong on that one.
It's okay.
You were going, and then you went right back to the right answer. That's correct. Velocity is a vector. Acceleration is a vector because velocity is a vector. That is absolutely correct, right? The commutative property across directions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
Oh my god.
Typically, although not always, but typically in a standard reference frame, what would a negative acceleration mean?
A negative acceleration would mean that your frame of reference means that y going up is positive.
What?
Right? Wait, if your acceleration was negative, and it means it's like a free fall problem where you set your frame of reference where up is positive.
No. That was a solid guess. In a typical reference frame, although not all reference frames,
Oh dear.
like the one that Lily just outlined, what would a negative acceleration mean?
You're de-accelerating or de-accelerating?
Which would mean, how would you say that without using the word acceleration?
You're slowing down.
Slowing down, that is correct. Generally, although not always true. Very good. Free fall for 4 points. While on the moon, Buzz drops a golf ball and a hammer from the same height at the same time. Which one falls faster? Emily.
Neither.
That is correct. Daily double. Very good.
got this, Anna. I believe in you.
On the moon, a hammer and a golf ball fall at the same rate. If Buzz were to return to Earth, ignoring air resistance, how would this experiment be different on Earth? It's just to you unless you get it wrong.
The acceleration would be different
And how would it be different?
because gravity is a different number on the moon than it is on Earth.
How would it be different as in?
It would go faster.
That is correct. Very good. Larger on the Earth. Very good. For 4 points, lovely introduction to things in the future. Describe a case where velocity is changing but speed isn't. Claire was first.
If you're going the same speed but you change direction.
Good. Turning. Acceleration for 4. As a soccer ball rolls up a hill, what direction is its acceleration? Elizabeth!
Down!
Down.
The hill!
The hill is correct. Acceleration for 5. What determines the magnitude of the acceleration of an object moving on an incline? Aaron.
The incline?
What about the incline?
Like how steep the incline is?
Also known as Correct. I'll give it to you.
Oh.
What was I looking for?
Slope.
Angle or slope. Yep, correct. Okay. Like I said, 2D projectiles have a lot of words, so take your time, listen carefully. 2 bullets shot from similar guns aimed horizontally across a long open field. Second bullet hits the ground nearly 1.5 seconds before the first bullet hits. Why? Chelsea.
Was the angle different?
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. I'll read it again. I'll read it again. Toss up to the other 2. 2 bullets shot from similar guns aimed horizontally. Therefore, discounting your answer. I'm sorry.
Why, I can't go again?
Correct. 2 bullets shot from similar guns aimed horizontally across a long open field. The second bullet hits the ground nearly 1.5 seconds before the first bullet. Why? Catherine.
The height of the guns, the bullets.
No, but somebody
The
said
height
that.
of the guns
Tell me a little bit more about the height of the guns.
are different.
That is correct.
Someone said that.
2-dimensional projectiles for 4 points. What's the acceleration of a projectile moving through space? Caroline.
Not 9.8 meters per second, because there's no gravity. Oh, it's 0, because there's no gravity.
Wrong. Darcy.
1.2.
1.2. I'm sorry.
Can you please repeat the
That is incorrect.
problem?
Lily has a chance. If not, it's a toss-up to the other teams in the back. What's the acceleration of a projectile moving through space?
The acceleration of a projectile moving through space is
Right in the background.
Take your time to look. Okay, wait.
9.8 meters per second squared.
Acceleration is a vector.
In
such intriguing. Yeah, so you cannot guess again.
She's not
9.8
done.
meters per second squared down.
That is correct.
What?
We have most definitely gone over that projectiles move through space. I didn't say outer space. This right here is space.
I thought you meant outer space.
The definition of a projectile is an object moving freely through space. Space is any space.
No, sorry.
Right? Any space.
In outer space.
In
Why am I
outer
saying negative?
space.
I don't know.
In outer space, the acceleration would be dependent on the nearest celestial body, and so there's no way to know that answer. Unless we are very specific about where you are. Free fall for 1 point. Ignoring air resistance when dropped from a height of 11 meters, does an object accelerate? Bella.
Yes.
That is correct. Do.
And I thought
Very good. I didn't even have to ask it. The number is 9.8 meters per second squared down. She said the answer. I'm defining the frame of reference. If north is positive, what is the velocity of a car traveling 35 meters south in 10 seconds?
Okay.
Hannah.
35 meters south in 10 seconds. No, that's not my answer.
The
but, like, I'm
velocity?
clarifying. Okay, so I know it'd be negative, and
Put your mouth away.
so clarifying the question, velocity is 3.5 meters, and then the time is 1.5 seconds.
Wait, she can't.
Come on in. It would be, yeah.
She's so much time to think. What?
It's mental math.
She's clearly working on the problem in her head.
Yeah.
Yeah, she already said the answer.
She did?
Yeah. She said
She meters per second.
-2. No, I'm sorry, that's
Okay.
incorrect. Elizabeth.
Negative 3.5 meters per second.
That is correct. Projectiles, 2-dimensional projectiles for 1 point. Held to the same height, one ball is launched horizontally while the other is dropped at exactly the same time. Which one hits the ground first? Abby.
At the same time.
That is correct. What is the acceleration of each ball? Held to the same height, one ball is launched horizontally while the other one is dropped at the exact same time. Which one hits the ground first? You said both. What is the acceleration of both balls? List them individually. The one shot horizontally and the one dropped. Tell me the acceleration of each.
Girls. Oh, wait, okay, so separately. Stop! Okay, the one dropping from the sky is 9.8 meters per second, negative 9.8 meters per second, and the one horizontal has no acceleration.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect.
No! Our team is doing
Charlotte.
No, me! I raised my hand first!
Charlotte.
Is it 9.8 meters per second squared and for the both of them?
That is correct.
Yay!
That's why they hit at the same time.
Right.
That's why they hit at the same time. Terms for 1 point. This vocabulary term describes a coordinate axis labeling positive and negative directions for a system.
Oh, it's frame of reference.
Frame of reference is correct. Velocity for 1 point. What is the formula for calculating average velocity? Erin was first.
V equals D over T.
That is correct. Do.
Oh.
That is correct.
It's a math problem, isn't it?
For an additional point, when is the only time this formula is appropriate?
When both of the velocities are the same. When like velocity is constant.
That is correct. There we go. Two-dimensional projectiles for 5 points, and potentially a high score going into Final Jeopardy. What's the horizontal acceleration of a projectile moving freely through space? Lily was first.
Acceleration is 0.
That is correct. Do. There was a daily double. The horizontal acceleration of a projectile is 0, Lily. That is absolutely correct. For
Why?
one additional point, why?
Why? Because the velocity is constant.
Why?
Horizontally. Oh, because it's always.
You just let her go again?
Quiet, Sally.
It's 0 because velocity is constant in the horizontal.
I'm sorry, that is not an explanation of why. That's just a reiteration of the answer you've already said. Chelsea.
Okay, let's go, Chelsea. Come on. If acceleration is the change in velocity and there is no change in velocity because the velocity is constant, acceleration would just be 0.
Why?
Well, I just said
That is not a why answer. That is an explanation. Because there's no gravity?
I mean, there is gravity, but like it's horizontal. I thought that was the answer.
It's not an explanation of why. Hold on. I'm sorry. We got to give Amelie a chance to see if she can answer. Go ahead. All right, so to reiterate, the question was, what is the horizontal acceleration of a projectile? Lily told us it was 0. The question to you, for one additional point, is why?
Because there's nothing affecting it. There's like, we're not including air resistance and stuff, and there's no gravity horizontally. It's walk at 1 speed, so
No thing. Change the word from thing to something more physics appropriate.
the object keeps going at
Because
constant speed.
why?
Come on, we watched. We got.
No thing. What's the thing?
No, force.
Force! She said it. There is no horizontal force.
I don't get it.
Please keep in mind, acceleration being equal to change of V over T. That's a description, not a reason why. Why things move is forces. Newton's second law. So the reason why is that there is no force in the horizontal direction. Very good, Amelie. Suppose I have a flat horizontal surface like this, and I have a projectile that I launch on an angle like this. If I line up in a straight line, in a perfectly straight line, a system over here, right, some object, and the idea is that I'm going to launch with some V over here on some angle theta, such that this, right, and this hit the ground at the same time. Yes?
What and what?
You understand what I'm saying? So I'm going to shoot the projectile that's here and drop the projectile that's here at the same time. At the same time. My question to you is, does this height, right, let's call this h, is that equal to the maximum height of projectile 1? Or some ratio fraction of that maximum height?
What? Can you ask the question again?
So think of this as dy Tell me the ratio comparison between dy and h.
Is a problem like this going to be on the test?
Absolutely, this is not that hard. Take your
really-
time and think it over.
Wait.
Take your time as a group and talk it over. My question is, how high do I need to put projectile 2 in comparison to projectile 1, assuming this is aimed directly at it in a straight line? Tell me the ratio between dy and h. In other words, are dy and h the same, or is it some other ratio comparison? Does that make sense?
And they're landing at the same time?
They're going to hit the ground at the same time in the same place. So this one is going to shoot and land. This one is going to drop. How does dy compare to h? All right, very good.
Everyone got it right.
Everyone got it right. That's correct. dy is half of h because the first projectile must go up and come back down. But since they both experience the same vertical acceleration, if I start projectile 2 twice as high, that accounts for the first ball going up and then they come down. They hit the ground at the same time. That's exactly right. Very good. Excellent.